You've seen how a paragraph style can change the formatting for an entire paragraph. But wouldn't it be cool if you could automatically format different parts of a paragraph differently? For example, what if you could set up a rule so that the first sentence of a paragraph were formatted one way, and then the next sentence would be formatted a different way, and so on? Well, that's what nested styles are all about. Let's see how they work. I'm going to zoom in on this text frame down here, so I can see it more closely, and I can see that the first sentence of every paragraph is a little heading, what we call a run-in head, because it runs in to the rest of the paragraph. But I'd like to format that differently so it stands out. Fortunately, I've made a character style to do that formatting. I've made a character style in this document called Character Style 1, which I have to apply to each one of those sentences for the run-in. But how do I do it automatically? I don't want to have to go through my whole document applying those. That would be too annoying. Well, because I have the character style, I can create a nested style. Let me show you how to do that. With a cursor in my paragraph, I go to the flyout menu in the control panel, and I choose Drop Caps and Nested Styles. I'm going to ignore the top part of this dialog box, because we're not messing around with drop caps. I'm going to focus on the bottom half of the dialog box, the nested style area. And the nested styles feature is one of those things that if you were trying to figure this out by yourself, it would take forever. It's just the user interface is too weird. But as soon as you see how to do it, you'll get it immediately. It's just obvious. In order to make my run-in head, I'm going to click New Nested Style. This is the first rule, the first instruction to my paragraph. And I'm going to say, I want the character style to be set through the first word, okay? In order to make this take effect, I'm going to turn the preview checkbox on, and then I click anywhere else in the dialog box. That sort of takes the focus off that, and it previews it. Without having to close the dialog box, it previews it. You see, I've applied that character style automatically through one word. Well, that's pretty cool, but what if the sentence were longer than one word? What if this said, what this file is, or what Dragonwell is, or something? Well, that wouldn't work anymore, right? So instead, I want this to be character style 1 through one sentence. But where's sentence? It just says words. Well, here's the weird thing about this user interface. In order to change this, you have to click on it. And as soon as you click on it, oh, there it is. It's a pop-up menu. There's the different things you can apply to my rule. I could say through one sentence, through one character, how many digits you want, how many tab characters. You can set up very complex rules depending on what's in your paragraph. In this case, we're going to leave this set to sentences. So, character style 1 through one sentences. Click off, and you can see that nothing changed except for, if I click OK, I can keep typing here, and it automatically assigns the proper character style. But as soon as I use some punctuation to signify the end of a sentence, like I'll say period, here is, and you see immediately it stopped. It stopped applying the formatting because the rule is only through the first sentence. That's just cool. So what if I want to apply that to my other paragraphs? Well, I should set up a paragraph style, right? I'll go to the paragraph styles panel. I'll option click on the new paragraph style button, or alt click on Windows, and I'll say this is going to be my run-in head style. Okay, it's going to be based on body text, but it's going to add the nested style. If I needed to see that or change it, it would be here, the drop caps and nested style panel. And you can see the same rules show up here in my paragraph style. Click OK, make sure it's assigned. There we go, it's assigned run-in head style. And now if I want to apply it to these paragraphs, it's one click away. Boom, it's done. Now let me show you one other example of nested styles. I'm going to edit this by right-clicking on it. And I'll move this out of the way so you can see it a little bit better. I'll go to the Drop Caps and Nested Styles panel, and I'm going to make a little more wacky, different nested style. I'm going to say character 1 through one word, and then I'll make another rule. I'll say a new nested style. It shows up right underneath it. I'll say character style 2. Oh, I don't have a character style 2. Well, I'll go back and I'll make one in just a minute. Character style 2 through another word. In fact, why don't we say this is going to be 2 words. I'll say 2 words here. I simply clicked on the 1. Now let me edit it. Made it 2. And now we're done. Click OK. I need another character style. I'll make one quickly here. Option click. I'll call it character style 2. That's fine. All I'm going to do is fill it with a different color. That'll be easy. Nice simple one. This is just for effect here. Go back to my paragraph style and edit. Go back to drop caps and nested styles. Now I can choose Character Style 2 from the Puppet menu. You see, it immediately became available to me as soon as I made the character style. So now I've got Character Style 1 through one word, and Character Style 2 through two words. Well, what on earth is that going to look like? Let's click OK, and we'll see one word, two words. Pretty good. But now in CS3, there's an additional feature, which is even wackier. I could make nested style rules all day. I could have a really long list of these. But in this case, I'm going to use repeat. This is new in CS3. Repeat all the previous rules. So it's going to get character style 1 through one words, and then this through two words, and then it's going to keep repeating that until it hits the end of the paragraph, and then it's going to start over again. Nested styles always go until the end of the paragraph, and then they start over again. Now this is kind of a crazy example of what you can do with nested styles, but it gives you the idea of the power of this stuff, you know? And as I've said before, I'm all about productivity and automating mundane tasks. And it's hard to get any more automated than nested styles doing all this hard work for you. Now that you're familiar with character styles and paragraph styles, it's time to talk about object styles. Yes, that's right. You can actually define an object style with a single click. Will apply all sorts of object formatting, such as fill and stroke or transparency effects and more. So how do we find object styles? Well, they're in the Object Styles panel, of course. I'll click on the Object Styles panel, it pops up, and I can see that I already have 3 object styles in here. The 2 basic ones, which show up in every document. Any kind of new document is always going to have the 2 basic styles. Plus, in this document, I've already created a small drop style to apply to this object up here. I'm going to ignore that because I want to jump right into how do you create a new object style. I use the selection tool to select my object, and now I'm going to click on the New Object Style button, but remember to hold on the Option or Alt on Windows when I click on that, because Option or Alt on Windows will force it to open up the dialog box. That's what we want. We want the dialog box to open so we can see the world's biggest dialog box. This thing is huge and it's a little cumbersome, but it has to be because it has every object style formatting thing you can possibly want in here. I'm going to call this style my happy little style. You can call it anything you want, really. We can go through all of these panels. Here's the fill. We could say we want to fill it with paper. We want to stroke it with, why don't we give it a stroke of maybe this sort of dark grayish green color. I'll bump this up to like 6 points. And we're defining our object style here, saying what the object style should look like. And again, all the object formatting that we've been talking about over all these movies comes into play here. Corner options. We can say, give it a rounded corner, and I'll bump this up to maybe 1 pika 6. You can change all sorts of stuff in your object styles. Why don't we give it a drop shadow? Have to do a drop shadow, right? Don't forget your drop shadows. We're going to say P6 here. Let's give it a little bit of noise. That would be good. And now, I'll go back to General, and I'll see that Apply Style to Selection is turned on. That means that as soon as I click OK, it's going to apply it to the object that is selected on the page. By the way, there's this big old summary here. This is the summary of all the things that I've chosen. But to be honest, it's so annoying having to click through these little triangles to see everything that I pretty much just ignore that. And if I want to see what's in this style, I just click through each of these panels one at a time. Alright, here we go. I'm going to click OK, and boom, I've got the rounded corner, I've got the background, I've got the drop shadow, and it's automatically applied this style. The great thing about styles is it's easy to apply them to a bunch of objects. I'll simply select both of these, and I'll bring up Quick Apply. I could click in the panel, but I really love Quick Apply. You know, I just hit Command-Enter or Control-Enter on Windows. It brings up the Quick Apply dialog box. I just type HAP, and it immediately guesses, oh, you want my happy little style. That's the one I created. It remembered it. So I hit Return, and it applies it automatically for me with one click. It's just wonderful. Let me go to the next page, shift page down to jump to page 2, and I can apply it over here as well. Command Return, it remembers it, hit Return again, and it applied it over there as well. The next great thing about styles is it's easy to edit them, right? I just right-click on my object style, and my happy little style appears here in my context menu. If you have a one-button mouse on the Mac, you just control-click on it to get the same context menu. Now I click on that, and I get the same dialog box, but now I can edit it. So let's say I want to change the corner options from rounded to bevel. Let's say I want to, maybe I'll change the transparency on the stroke out of bevel and emboss on there as well. Click OK, and you can see that immediately throughout the whole document, all of those things are changed. I'll jump back to page 1 so you can see. Shift page up to go to the previous page, and the whole document has been updated. I love that. Now let me talk about these basic styles just for a moment here, because as I said, every document has two basic styles, basic graphics frame and basic text frame. And the problem is that basic graphics frame is actually kind of a misnomer. It has nothing to do with your graphic frames. If I choose this graphic frame here and draw out a frame, it does not get the graphics frame object style applied to it. The basic graphics frame style is only applied automatically to these tools, the rectangle, ellipse, and polygon tools. So if I draw a rectangle with this tool, now it's automatically applied with basic graphics frame. I don't know why they call it graphics frame. It really should be basic unassigned frame, but that's the way it works. Now, by default, when you create a new document, the basic graphics frame style will apply a one-point black rule around this. But if you change that object style, just go ahead and edit the object style, it'll change the effect. It'll change the look of those unassigned frames. Same thing with the basic text frame. This object style is automatically applied any frame that with a type tool. So if I come down here and draw out a text frame, it automatically applies the basic text frame. And you can see that if I hit the escape key to jump back to the selection tool, you can see that here in the object styles panel, it automatically applied the basic text frame object style to that. So, for example, if you want all of your text frames to have a background of paper instead of none, well, just edit the basic text frame object style and set the fill to paper and you're done. It just works. I find object styles are the kind of thing you really have to force yourself to use once or twice, but after you use them on a project, you'll find yourself hooked and you'll want to use them all the time.